Welcome to another episode of Fine Lines. I'm Suzie. I am the founder of The Fits and your host for today. And I'm sitting down with Dr. Tatiana Batista, our medical director. Welcome.
Hello. Yes, thank you for having me.
I mean, of course we're going to have you. We're going to have you a lot on this podcast. Everyone knows you. You're all over our social. Obviously, you're a big part of our lives. And the staff, all of our patients know you. But for those who haven't been to the Fits or have followed us on social or anything, I want you to kind of talk about yourself real quick and tell us about you.
Yeah. So I have been in aesthetics since 2008. It was a very slow start for me because I just was doing it part-time. And then after really falling in love with it and really taking the leap, I ended up going, completely full-time in aesthetics, and I'm so glad I did.
What is your medical background is internal medicine?
So my medical background is family medicine. I was trained in general medicine through not just medical school, but also residency. And then I am board certified in that specialty and continue to be. So I have knowledge about all types of things, including, one of my passions, which is helping women feel better, which with hormones and lifestyle and all of that stuff. So I also have a master's in physiology, which helps me figure out how the body works, and that really ties into everything that I do every day for my patients. But I have been really happy in this industry, being able to really help women and men, of course, feel better and look better.
So you've been in aesthetics since 2008.
Yes. Things have changed a lot.
Things have changed so much.
Yes.
And it's kind of crazy. I love meeting so many of your patients because so many times your patients will say, I was Dr. Batista's patient when she was my primary care provider.
Yes.
And then now you're their aesthetic provider.
Yes.
And so you've known a lot of your patients for 15 years.
Yes. A long time. And they are very much, to me anyway, the people that have continued to believe in me and really trust me. And they give me so much joy to talk to when they come and see me.
Yeah. I want the bulk of this podcast to be about something that affects 50% of the world.
Yeah.
So basically all women.
Yes.
I want to talk to you about menopause.
Yes.
And perimenopause. Because all healthy women will go through it. And there's been such a shift of the discussion recently for good. I think it's really good that people are talking about it and it's not becoming a whispered word anymore.
Right.
Kind of like fertility has gone through. It's the same. It's if you're having problems with fertility, people are more likely to talk about it. Same with menopause.
Right.
So I'm really proud of the country, I don't know, people, society for accepting it and it not being so scary anymore.
Yeah.
But menopause, just like fertility, there's so much to still learn about it and people don't really understand it. So you understand it very well.
Yes.
And if you could explain to our listeners, our viewers, in the most simplest basic terms, what is menopause?
Okay. Menopause is really the beginning of a hormone shift, and it starts way before menopause. I mean, I see women probably 10 years before menopause going through changes in how they feel, how they can, control their weight, how they sleep, how much muscle they can build, how their brain works. And the hormones don't all go away all at once. It is very much a slow, gradual process that happens starting, let's say, 10 years before menopause. We call that perimenopause. You're going to see a decrease in the progesterone, a decrease in the testosterone, and that's going to make you feel more anxious. That's going to make you feel a little bit more tired. It's going to make you have decreased libido. It's going to make you have maybe some weight gain, trouble sleeping, things like that. And then as the years go on, the estrogen, before it actually drops, it goes up, which causes more bloating, a little bit more anxiety, and then
Weight gain.
And then right after that happens, then boom, it just drops.
Yep.
Your ovaries are almost overreacting to that increased estrogen, where they then kind of fail and the estrogen levels just decrease very, very rapidly.
So is the difference between perimenopause and menopause that drop in the estrogen?
Yes.
So the symptoms of perimenopause, and I guess I should clarify, they're not just symptoms.
Right.
These are actual physiological changes that are happening to our body.
Right.
So perimenopause is the drop of the testosterone and progesterone.
Right.
And then menopause is when estrogen decreases as well.
Exactly.
And you talked a lot about the symptoms that you experience in all of them. So weight gain, brain fog, loss of libido, vaginal dryness.
Right. That's usually like a little bit later in menopause, but yes. Mm-hmm.
We've got that,
Loss of bone, right?
Yep, loss of bone.
Muscle mass.
Yes.
You also...
Poor sleep.
Hot flashes.
Frozen shoulder, muscle
Right.
aches, bone aches, all the things.
Yes.
Depression,
you can have
anxiety.
hair loss. Mm-hmm. Yes. So there's so many symptoms and every woman is different.
Yeah.
But, it's really interesting. This is still happening, and it really makes me sad, where I have patients that will come in and see me and they'll say, I came looking for you because I spoke with my primary care physician. I was having menopausal symptoms and they told me this is just how life is going to be like now.
Right. Isn't that awful?
It's awful.
Well, so these are symptoms, right?
Mm-hmm.
But additionally, there's some physiological changes that are also saying, okay, you're actually at higher risk for diabetes.
Yes.
Heart disease, bone fractures.
Right.
So it's not just
No. Yeah. It's not just
in
the symptoms.
in our brains.
There's a lot of things that are happening inside the body that are very detrimental to not just your health, but also your quality of life.
Quality of life.
So when, we give hormones, we are not just treating those symptoms, we're treating the other things that are happening inside the body. And I tell my patients this all the time. I'm like, the first thing that happens in the body after menopause is those the bone loss, the brain atrophy, which causes that brain fog, and then the problems within the heart and the vessels and the hardening of the vessels and everything. All that stuff happens very quickly right after estrogen drops, around that first year or two. So if you wait to get hormones until you feel really, really bad, most of that damage has already happened.
Yeah. Menopause, thankfully I haven't gotten there yet, but it's going to happen. And it sounds like shit. It sounds awful.
We don't have to go through it.
We don't have to go through it.
No.
And in the 90s, let's kind of go on the history of menopause and hormone replacement therapy, because hormone replacement therapy, yes, it helps with the symptoms that we're talking about, but it also helps with the physiologic health changes and increased risk, correct?
Right.
So let's go do a little history dive. In the 90s, hormone replacement therapy was huge. It was huge.
However, the hormones that they gave then are not the hormones we give now. The hormones they gave then were synthetic hormones. They were synthetic estrogen, synthetic progestins, and they did not replace the testosterone.
Did I read that it was like estrogen that was like extracted from horse urine?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thought so. Interesting.
Yeah. And there are different types of estrogen.
Yeah.
And there's also estrogens that are, introduced into our bodies by everything that we do every day. I'm sure everyone's heard of like xenoestrogens and how in our bodies that can come from things like plastics, BPA, all that kind of stuff. You don't want those things.
The bad types.
And there's a lot of things that we can do in your lifestyle that are going to help counter effects of those xenoestrogens. However, in the 90s, the hormones that were given are not the ones we give now.
Yeah.
And then the 2002 Women's Health Initiative study happened.
And this was apparently this big study that really, not apparently, it did shift the acceptance and thought about HRT in the medical community, but also it trickled down very quickly to patients and women.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yes. I remember the day because I was actually in medical school and it happened, and all of a sudden everyone that was on hormones was taken off hormones.
Really?
It was urgent. It was like,
really?
Done. Everyone off hormones. And these poor women, they just felt terrible because they were not slowly, gradually taken off. They were just stopped.
Oh, wow.
And there were a lot of things that were wrong with that study. I would say number one is the study.
Well, wait, hold on. Rewind. What did that study say?
Right. So the study said that giving hormones, aka progesterone and estrogen, synthetic forms of those hormones, would increase the risk of heart disease and breast cancer risk. Okay.
That's really scary.
Very scary.
Yeah.
And it's not true. Now, I'm going to preface with one thing that a lot of women don't know. When you take birth control pills, that increases your risk of breast cancer.
Yep.
Okay. So
and clots.
And clots.
Yep.
It's a small risk, but it does increase it. So
hey,
how many women
also smoking cigarettes.
Right.
Drinking alcohol.
Yes. All of those things. So, women are not, sometimes we need birth control, and it is something that we need to take.
The benefits outweigh.
And the benefits outweigh the risk. So with that said, this particular study said that taking those synthetic forms of estrogen and progesterone did increase the risk of breast cancer and the heart disease. Many things that we didn't know about the study at the time and didn't understand, we now understand, which one is the women that they had in the study had been out of menopause for at least 10 years.
Out of menopause.
Out of menopause. So they had already gone through, what do we consider menopause? Menopause is when you have not had a period for a year. Okay. So those women were 10 years out from that.
So then why would someone who's 10 years out from that, who's likely not experiencing symptoms anymore, like of that rapid decrease of estrogen, why would they be treated with HRT?
That's a very good point. Not sure why they chose those women. I think that they were trying to see if they could reverse some of the signs and symptoms that they had. For example, the bone loss, the lack of hormones affects your skin so much, which ties into everything that we do as well. But at that time, they chose these women. They gave them the progestins and estrogens that were not bioidentical. They were synthetic. And they saw that increase. And then they said, okay, hormones are not good. Everyone off hormones. But they were using one was the synthetic hormones, 2 was the age of the women, and 3, understanding that the damage was already done. And so now
someone who's in their 60s, 10 years after menopause, already has a significant increase in heart disease and breast cancer, regardless of having HRT or not.
Right. So if you think about how that would work, for example, if you have someone who's a little bit at higher risk already because they are older, maybe they have, a family history, none of that was looked into, and some other lifestyle things like maybe they smoked, maybe they were a smoker,
right?
Maybe they didn't. None of that was taken into account.
Yeah,
their lifestyle, their family history, all of that. So that study had a lot of flaws.
Yeah. So why do you think studies are released all the time, right? And not all of them get the PR that this study did. Why do you think it had such a impact on medicine that it was like, Bible?
Yes.
Especially because there was so many flaws in it.
It was a large study.
Okay.
That was number one. And number two, it was also the only study that showed that. And so I think at that time, people were so scared of what they saw that they didn't really look into it with that critical thinking that we have now. Looked, through the data and what they were actually doing in the study. Since then, there's been many, many studies, not a lot of long-term studies, but many, many studies that show that early treatment is best, because if you give someone the hormones when their body is actually going through the change, none of that damage is going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's number one. And number two, making sure that that patient is the right candidate.
Right.
I talk to my patients all the time about the risks and benefits of giving them the hormones. And some patients are not a candidate, and that's okay too. I'm going to help them feel better with other things.
Yeah, there's other ways to...
But also knowing that, going on birth control and all of that has the same slight increased risk of breast cancer and clots and things like that.
Yeah.
There's no increased risk of clots with estrogen given in the right way, especially in the bioidentical way.
And transdermal.
Mm-hmm. There's a slight risk with oral, but we still, if it's bioidentical, we still give it to some women that cannot tolerate the patches and things like that. But there's so many things we can do now to mitigate risk and also help patients feel better in a very safe way, in a monitored way. I definitely don't want anyone to think that they're going to be given hormones and I'm never going to see them again, because that's not going to happen.
No.
And I'm going to make sure that they're getting all of their treatments along with all their preventative screenings at the same time.
So I also think that one of the reasons why this study made such an impact is because in 2002 and even afterwards, menopause education, not only to patients, but to doctors, was so little.
Very true.
I mean,
it still is.
It still is. And so when you're telling someone something like, oh, it increases the risk of breast cancer in menopause, if you don't understand menopause, you're not able to really critically think about that study and rationalize it and with your knowledge. Yeah. And so medical education, especially in the early 2000s, in residency and even med school, is like, did you even have a lecture on it?
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and my husband, I love him dearly, and I think he's the best doctor ever. He's an OBGYN, and he still didn't get like a lecture in it. And so, when it's scary as a provider, because you don't want to put that risk on your patients, especially
without knowing all the details.
So I think there's a lot to be done in medical education for doctors, physicians, nurse practitioners, PAs, mid-levels, to really dive into the subject. Because again, like I said, this affects half of the world.
Yes.
Why aren't we talking about it?
And there's a documentary that I was watching a few months ago that talked about how less than 25% of doctors are actually taught about menopause.
Right.
And that's way too low.
Right.
That's way too low.
Right. So I'm constantly telling my husband, you should know this about menopause. You know that he's like, I'm a gynecologist. I know about menopause and I know how to manage menopause. But I'm like, but even more, like, you need to be the gynecologist that people trust about it, because there's still OBGYNs out there who aren't comfortable talking about it, talking about all the symptoms that people are experiencing, because that's really personal. We want to talk about, like I said, vaginal dryness and atrophy and your libido and your sex life and your ability to orgasm and all this stuff. Like, people get really modest and uncomfortable, but like, again, half the world is dealing with this.
Right.
So it's really important to talk about. And I do think that contributed to this study that scared so many people.
It did.
And since that study's come out, like you said, there's been a ton of additional studies, maybe not quite as large, that disproves that 2002 Women's Health Initiative. And they aren't getting as much PR, unfortunately.
Right. There's a study that goes up to 5 years with, menopause hormone treatments that doesn't show any increased risk of anything,
right,
including heart disease and breast cancer. And I think that what's missing is a long-term study, but it hasn't been that long since we restarted giving women hormones. So I think that's next. That's coming up.
Okay.
But I think you have to make sure that you are, utilizing the safest forms of hormones. Often patients come to see me and they are already on synthetic forms of estrogen and progesterone, and I take them off of it and I put them on bioidenticals, and they feel much, much better.
Yeah.
They have less side effects, and their symptoms are so almost completely gone, if not 100% reduced.
Thankfully, now that everyone's talking about menopause, more and more providers are offering HRT, which is a double-edged sword, in my opinion, because HRT is wonderful, that when done correctly and safely, it can change people's perimenopause and menopause experience and symptoms, and also protect them from the heart disease and promote health, right, and well-being and livelihood. On the other side, with every medical procedure that's done, there are risks, right? Even though we're saying the risks of this breast cancer and heart disease is not as significant as that 2002 study said, there are risks with it.
For sure.
And so as someone who's practiced wellness and hormone replacement and taking care of these patients for as long as you have, what scares you the most?
Yeah.
When it is gaining in popularity?
I started doing this because I noticed that my patients in their 30s would tell me things like, I just don't feel well and I don't know what's wrong. And my doctors have told me everything is normal, and what's happening to my body?
Brain fog, poor sleep.
Yes.
Weight gain.
Yes.
Exhaustion,
all of those things.
Extreme fatigue, anxiety, depression. Check for me.
Decreased libido.
Yeah.
Yes. All the things. And so I went on like a deep sort of research regarding women and hormones and what's happening. And I realized at that point that I wanted to learn more.
Yeah.
And I had never
And
been
how long
taught.
ago was this for you?
That was around 2015, 2016.
Okay. 10 years ago.
10 years ago. But it wasn't until 2018 that I really felt comfortable after I've learned, I had learned and gone to, multiple conferences and read, research articles and all of that I felt comfortable actually treating these women that were coming in the perimenopause period and menopause period with the hormones that are safe and effective. And not everyone gets the same thing.
So you're telling me you didn't take a weekend course?
No. Not at all.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, that's
I had a
scary.
feeling.
That's scary. And it happens a lot in our industry.
I know.
With aesthetics too,
For sure.
I think I didn't start really prescribing these hormones until I was super comfortable and I knew I was doing it in a safe way and I could monitor my patients safely, and I could pick the right patients that also collaborating with their physicians, their other medical providers is super important. I do that as well, and I still do that.
Yeah.
I think that it was really important for me to learn before I started to actually treat. And since then, things continue to evolve. I continue to learn, and I continue to personalize the treatment for each patient. Not everyone, like I said, gets the same thing. Some patients are getting oral. Some patients are getting patches. Some patients are getting pellets.
Creams.
And they all work, but they all have a set of different side effects and different things that we have to talk about when you come in for your visit. When it's also helping the aging process. So aging after 40 is so different because it is going to involve not just all the hormone things, but also that collagen production that really slows down, and giving your patients the hormones is going to help them age much slower. It's going to, kind of slow down that clock.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that it's very much a holistic way of looking at aging.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, the times I've had a testosterone pellet, speaking from experience, I'm 36. Having a testosterone pellet really changes so much about my daily living. And it starts in the morning, like the waking up has changed for me. Because for me, my experience with testosterone is the difference of when my husband wakes up in the morning, his alarm goes off and he just opens his eyes and he gets up and goes out the door. He just is like, all right, time to start the day. And that can be at 6 a.m. or even, right now he's waking up at 4:30 to get to his workout classes. But he just gets up and goes.
Yeah.
For me, my entire life, I feel like it's been snoozing the alarm over and over and just dragging my feet out of bed and not really waking up until like 2 hours after, because it's just so foggy for those first 2 hours. But once I've gotten pellets, the testosterone, I feel like I'm waking up like my husband. I just open my eyes. I'm like, all right, time to start the day.
It's one big difference between men and women.
Like, wait, men live like this?
Yeah.
Those lucky assholes?
And think about it. They have 10 times more testosterone than you do, even with a pellet.
I know. Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on
now. That's why they have
men could never
all of the things.
Go through menopause.
No.
Never.
Yeah.
So, can you imagine if like there was a syndrome or something that happened to men that was similar to menopause? Like if their libido went down, if they had, if their penis shrunk.
It's much
can
more.
Can you imagine?
It's much more rare, but it can happen.
No, it can't.
It can.
To men?
It can, to men. There is something called menopause, which is...
Stop.
Yeah.
Wait, men-o-pause?
Menopause.
What happens then? Tell me about it.
So it can be, just like in women, it can happen, midlife. But sometimes it can happen earlier or later. It can be genetic. It can have things to do with like their lifestyle, the stress, maybe some disease that they have that, especially if they've had like prostate cancer or something like that, where their testosterone levels are very, very low.
Oh gosh.
And they can have symptoms that are similar.
Yeah.
Where they have brain fog, decreased libido, impotence, things like the decreased muscle mass, weight gain.
Respect for those men who are going through menopause.
Yeah.
Because those are the men who can relate to us.
Totally. Totally. And we can fix that.
Is it the same treatment as?
Not the same, but similar in the sense that they need testosterone.
Yeah.
Men also have estrogen.
Sure.
So it is a balance between that estrogen and that progesterone and that testosterone in men as well. But mainly, you don't want their estrogen to get too high, and then you want their testosterone to be optimized.
Sure. So if you're repleting someone from a female menopause level of testosterone to a male level of optimization, that's a lot of testosterone.
It's a lot of testosterone. Ooh. So just so you get an idea of how that is so different, in a female, we want their testosterone to be between 80 and 100. In a male, we want their testosterone to be between 800
and
1,000.
Yeah.
So
a lot of testosterone.
It's a lot of testosterone and very different.
Sure.
But it can really change their lives as well.
Yeah, justice for those men.
Yes.
Because they are truly experiencing the female experience.
Yes. And again, it's
which is very rare.
Very rare.
Because men
no.
Well, it's a rare syndrome or disease process,
right.
but it's also very rare for a male to actually experience what a female is experiencing.
Totally. 100%.
Wow, I didn't know that. See, I learned something new from you every time I talk to you. Okay, so what now? So we've talked about menopause, we've talked about perimenopause, we've talked about that 2002 study. What are the types of things that we offer at the Fits that can really help with our patients? So we do a lot of the bioidentical hormones.
Yes.
You do estrogen and progesterone and testosterone.
Yes.
Can you talk about why estrogen is important to replace, but also why it's important to also do progesterone at the same time?
Yes. So I always think of like progesterone as that balancing hormone.
Mm-hmm.
It really balances you out. It helps with anxiety, but mainly progesterone is going to protect the uterus from the effects of the estrogen. Estrogen is a proliferative type of hormone. So it's going to increase the amount of cells in the lining of your uterus, and progesterone stops that. If you take estradiol or estrogen without progesterone and you have a uterus, you are at risk for increased risk of endometrial cancer. So it's super important for you to take your progesterone along with that. But sometimes I give progesterone to women that don't have a uterus.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. And it's because...
And you can give estrogen to people without a uterus.
Correct.
But you don't need to pair them together if you don't have one.
Right. But I still do sometimes because progesterone helps with that sleep.
Yeah.
The anxiety.
Yeah.
And again, it does help balance your hormones in a certain way that other ones can't do. I think progesterone is really underrated, honestly.
Yeah. Everyone talks about how much their sleep has improved when they have progesterone on board. Now, cancer, we're talking about the increased risk of endometrial cancer when given estrogen. If someone, and for our listeners, there are providers out there, like I said, maybe who've taken a weekend course or not really as well versed and educated. Have you heard of instances where people have only given estrogen and
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Yes. I have. I've had in the past heard of patients that were given estrogen and not progesterone, and they ended up having to, get their uterus taken out because
there was risk.
They had not so good cells inside their uterus, so they were like precancer cells. So it's really important to make sure that you're getting the right treatment. There's one other...
And going to a provider who knows what the heck they're doing.
There's another, time in your life where you might need progesterone. So when you are in that perimenopausal period, if you are getting testosterone, your testosterone can sometimes, some women, and some men actually, can convert testosterone into estrogen.
Yep.
And if that's the case and your progesterone is a little low, those women also need progesterone, even if they're not in menopause.
Because you're increasing their estrogen.
Exactly.
Not like your body's naturally increasing the progesterone or estrogen because the progesterone is converting or testosterone is converting.
But I want to mention something that's really, really important. I recently read a study that showed that the highest risk of endometrial cancer actually comes from obesity.
Yeah.
It's not even close to those women that take the estrogen without progesterone. It's way, way higher. We're talking like 30 to 50% higher risk.
Right.
And so that's why it's so important for you to really, take care of your lifestyle, eat healthy, exercise, keep a healthy weight. It's not just an aesthetic thing. It's a health thing. And it's going to decrease your risk of cancer so much.
So much. It's been so amazing for me. And I don't use the amazing term lightly. Like that was not just a fluffy word. It's been amazing for me to have ever since I've known you, my knowledge base of wellness and menopause, perimenopause, and GLP-1s, and, you know, that functional side of what we do has grown astonishingly. Because quite frankly, knowing you and working with you, you have to know what you're like. You have brought such a different side to the fit. We're not just aesthetics now. We are treating the entire person.
Right.
You know, of course, aesthetically, but also, you know, from the inside out as well. And it's not just women.
Right.
You see a lot of men, too.
Right.
A lot of men get HRT.
Yeah.
So when someone gets repleted and their hormones are optimized, what have you seen with your patients? What do they say?
Like yesterday, I saw a patient who, she was the one that told me that her doctor was like, this is just like how life is going to be like.
I hate that.
And she was in tears. And yesterday,
She in perimenopause or menopause?
she was in menopause.
Okay.
Beginnings of menopause,
Yeah.
but she felt terrible. And yesterday she was like, I feel like myself again.
Mm-hmm.
And she was all smiles. She was energized, super happy. It changed her life. And she's an active, healthy woman, you know, who is like, has so much ahead of her. And for her to feel the way that she felt, it almost felt like there was no hope. Like, and now
It's awful.
she was just so incredibly different. And I was, you know, so many people that I see after I've optimized them are actually then, you know, so much more confident and feeling like themselves that they want to do other things. You know, they want to talk about, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
What can we do to keep this going?
Right.
You know?
Right. And not only are they feeling better, but their actual health status
100%.
is better. Less heart
100%.
disease, less, I mean, they're probably losing weight, gaining muscle, sleeping better. Like, and what does that do, you know, as far as the repercussions from those things?
Right.
Right.
And, you know, as we all know, that change in hormones increases your insulin resistance.
Yeah.
It also decreases your
Diabetes,
increases risk of diabetes,
Alzheimer's, dementia,
cholesterol, increases your cholesterol.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting to see when a woman is taking HRT, how it slowly shifts over a period of like 1 to 2 years where their cholesterol, their diabetes test, everything looks better. And so that shows that they're becoming healthier.
Yeah. Love to see it.
It's amazing.
All right. Let's talk about, now that we're talking about these women and men who are, you know, getting older, treatments over 40.
Yes.
You're older than 40.
Yes.
Hard to believe. I can't imagine, but you are older than 40. And I think it's important, you know how I feel. I think, you know, you and I and Michelle, we're all open books as far as the treatments we've done. We don't expect the same from our patients because it's a personal thing, but as owners of the business, we should talk about what we've done. What have you done, I guess, ever as far as aesthetics and wellness and HRT goes, but especially what treatments post 40 have you realized really do optimize your skin, health, wellness, et cetera?
Yes. I think number one is I started to look at my hormones in my 30s.
Okay.
Because that was when I started to notice some changes myself, you know, in like, I thought maybe it was just, I work a lot and so that's why I'm tired.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. But really, when I started to take testosterone at that point, it really changed how I felt. And it really brought back the you know, energy levels and the mental sharpness and things like that I was missing.
I cannot imagine you not being mentally sharp.
I know.
It was like you being forgetful or something, like that would be wild to me.
Yeah, no, it definitely happens. I'm sure less now because, you know, I've been on hormones now for over, I would say, 10 years on and off.
Yeah.
But my testosterone levels were super low in my 30s. And again, testosterone levels decrease not just because of age, but also because of stress. And, being a physician, like I was always under a lot of pressure and stress. So that was something that I wasn't surprised about. So at that point, I started the testosterone, and it made me feel so much better. And then I've always been really interested in holistic medicine. And so I always took lots of supplements, vitamin D, B12, turmeric, fish oil,
Okay, wait. Pause on that. Back up.
Yeah.
You're listing all these supplements.
Yes.
I know what they do.
Yeah.
And why they're important. But people are going to start writing down exactly what you're
yes.
taking. And so you got to tell the people what you like to take.
I'll tell you, not all supplements are necessary for everyone, right? Some patients don't need vitamin D. But very few. Most patients do.
Yeah.
If you live in the Midwest, you're always going to need it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And so unless you go to Florida for the winter or something like that. But, you're always going to need vitamin D. Vitamin D is the most important vitamin you can actually take because it decreases your risk of depression, anxiety, cancer.
Yep.
It really helps the hormones in your body actually function. I call it a prohormone, not even a vitamin, because it's so important. So that's number one. B12 is going to help.
And taking enough vitamin D.
Taking enough.
So many people are not even taking enough.
Yeah. We don't want you at the lower level of normal. We want you at the higher level of normal. And then things like B12, which give you energy and actually decreases the risk of dementia, right? Those two are super important. Then things like fish oil and turmeric are going to decrease inflammation in your body, which we know leads to chronic disease.
Inflammation is the start of everything bad.
Yeah.
Everything bad.
Right. So we want to decrease inflammation through supplementation of these things, but also with the way that we eat. So I always tell my patients, super important, and I do this myself, to eat organic foods.
Yeah.
They have less pesticides, herbicides, things like that, which increase not just those xenoestrogens, but also the inflammation in your body. So that's the other thing that I tell my patients. And then the other supplements that I mentioned, like prebiotics and probiotics, really work on that gut health, which we know is also super important for how your body works. And it's that mind-gut connection, right? So important.
There has been the expansion and the stress of the gut microbiome.
Yes.
Has grown significantly over the last 5 years because more and more research is coming out about how important it is, how it is related to our thyroid, to our brain, to our sleep, everything. So yeah, probiotics, prebiotics, treating your gut as important as your heart and your brain.
100%.
Yeah.
So those are the supplements that I kind of myself take. And then I also, of course, add a little zinc in there because zinc and magnesium are really important, not just for your bones, for your hormones to work, but also the zinc, as you know, helps your Botox last longer.
Yeah.
Or your Daxify, or your Zeomed,
Dysport or whatever.
Or your Dysport, whatever one you use. But
yeah.
So those are the supplements that I take.
Cool.
The other thing that I think is really important, of course, is making sure that you get your sleep. I think especially women, we need those 8 hours.
Minimum.
8 to 9 is best.
Yeah.
And then moving your body, taking the stairs. That's so
Parking
important.
far away.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, of course, making time for that 2 to 3 times a week, doing at least some type of strength training, Pilates, yoga, something like that, where you're building your muscles.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
I just asked you what type of treatments you do, and our viewers are not going to believe that you sleep, eat well, and take supplements for this. So yes to all of that stuff.
Yes.
But also give us the deets.
Yes.
Because girl, that's unfair.
I started getting Sculptra in my 30s. I mean, that was, I think, super important, especially post-kids, to start putting back some of that collagen, because you gain weight and then you lose the weight and then your face does change. And so I started getting Sculptra, and my first treatment of Sculptra was followed by 3 more.
You were deficient.
I was so deficient. I literally had 8 vials of Sculptra
Wow.
in a period of 2 years. Then it got me to the place where I was like super happy, and I stayed there for a long time. And after that, I just needed some tweaks, you know?
Yeah.
And those tweaks, you know, were more maybe once a year, a little bit of like filler, maybe a little bit of like Radiesse or Sculptra. I've had Radiesse in my neck a few times. And then, of course, every woman in their late 30s and above should really be having at least one type of skin tightening device once a year.
Some type of like collagen induction
Yes.
therapy. I say the biggest ROI for me is microneedling.
Yes.
Microneedling is awesome with ROI in comparison to the downtime.
Yeah.
Well, actually, maybe that's changed now because of SoftWave.
Yeah. I mean,
There's no downtime with SoftWave.
I think SoftWave is my favorite treatment,
Yeah.
but it isn't something that I think everyone has to have because we have Morpheus, which is very, very similar and
More
gives
downtime with it.
more downtime.
It's a different type of face.
Right.
SoftWave is more, in my opinion,
Yeah.
for elasticity.
Yes.
Morpheus really helps with texture and like
It does
debulk.
tighten.
It does tighten, but debulking as
Yes.
well. When
So-
we get down to that sub-Q layer, it can really help, you know, contour
Yes.
more.
And Morpheus will help with, like if you have a little submental fat, a little jowl fat, that can do that job. Whereas the, you know, SoftWave is really just lifting and tightening. And a lot of times I'm kind of combining them actually.
Yeah.
To give the best results. And then after that, doing a little bit of collagen induction with Radiesse or Sculptra is going to give you even better, exponentially better results. There are studies about that actually, of Radiesse with SoftWave or Radiesse with a similar ultrasound laser, you know, and it really, I can see the results. I often do it the same day even. So I've had all those things.
Yeah.
And I think that they are imperative to, you know, keeping that collagen production alive. One of the things I didn't talk about, but that I forgot that I take as well is collagen. Not all collagen is created equal.
Yep.
You have to be really careful because there's a lot of things out there, and some collagen that you know you take could not be beneficial. So I always tell my patients, pick a collagen that has a study behind it. You know, there's a couple that I really like. One is the one that is specifically for women in menopause by Dr. Marie Claire.
Love
and
her.
then, yeah, there's another one that is a science-backed collagen by Modere.
Okay.
Those two are my 2 favorite ones. And I do take, right now I'm taking the Marie Claire, but I have taken the Modere one. It's a little more expensive, but it also is amazing.
And these are pills?
No, the Modere is a liquid that you take by the spoonful, or they also have the gummy.
Okay.
The other one is a powder. The Marie Claire menopause, you know, perimenopause, menopause collagen powder is amazing. It tastes really good too.
Good.
It's a nice treat.
And for the people who have been watching the studies about oral collagen, there was a thought for a while that collagen does break down in the gut and is ineffective, but that has since been disproven.
Yes, I would say that there's definitely a need for more studies with collagen. But I would say that's disproven. And I think that it has a lot to do with the stability of that collagen that you're taking. And that's why it's so important to get good collagen.
Yeah. And the health of the gut microbiome.
And the
too.
health of the gut microbiome that is going to absorb that collagen.
Yeah.
Right. But I do think that there's a need for more studies. I would say that at the end of the day, it's not going to hurt to take the collagen.
No. One of the things that you didn't say, and I find this in you, is, you know, your vitality and your endless energy as a 40 plus woman. I think that's something I'm really passionate about is mindset.
Yeah.
And how mindset affects our view of the world, our relationships, and even the physiologic changes that happen when we're in a certain mindset. You have one of the strongest, most positive outlooks on so many aspects of life. And how do you feel like that affects your aging and your aesthetics?
You know, I always think about how age is just a number. It's not really, doesn't define you. It's not who you are. The person that you are is the person that you believe you are. And I think in my eyes, I see myself as someone who is capable of a lot, and I still have so much that I want to do. And so taking care of my body, making sure I get my sleep. Sometimes I'm not great at giving myself a break here and there.
No, you're not.
I'm not good at that. But it's only because
Sometimes I'm not good at. That's what you just said?
Yeah,
Sometimes?
sometimes.
No,
okay,
always.
a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But I think that it has to do with, how much I want to accomplish still.
Mm-hmm.
And how much, and I have so much energy to do that.
It's infectious. Yeah.
My positivity comes from that. It comes from that energy and that thought that I have so much to accomplish still, and I want to do that so badly.
Yeah.
And so, and I hope that it helps people around me and inspires people around me, and including my kids. I want my kids to see that you can accomplish anything if you put your mind to it.
Totally.
And if you work hard and you're passionate about it and you're good at what you do, you're going to succeed.
Some of the things that you're saying, I mean, basically work hard, sleep hard, take care of yourself, stay positive. They sound sometimes so trite.
Yeah.
Right? But when you are living it and experiencing it and seeing the effects that it actually does have on like your livelihood and vitality, I mean, it's so true. And like, it feels so simple. It's not simple. It's hard work to get there.
It's hard work.
But the advice is just that.
Yes. And the only advice I would give to other women in my, let's say age group is possibly even just making sure that you take care of your mind, making sure you get that break when you need it. Mm-hmm. Something that I need to work on.
Yeah. So you're not perfect?
I'm not perfect. But I really do, and you know this, Suzie.
Yeah.
I love a good cocktail party.
Oh, man.
I mean,
I know.
I always...
another problem you have is you have a serious case of FOMO.
I do.
You actually...
Yeah. No, but I also love people, and I love...
No, I know, but girl, your FOMO is so real.
I love people, and I cannot miss, like a fun social outing.
I know.
With
girlfriends,
or, you guys.
I know. We have so much fun together.
People in the industry. So I definitely love to do that. And I think that also keeps me going, and it keeps me, because otherwise, you're just always working and your life just gets very repetitive.
But we love so much of what we do.
Yes.
That and we love each other.
Yes.
You started out as a colleague and a partner, but you're definitely now one of my best friends. And so it feels so good to work alongside you and learn from you.
Same. And I also love the fact that we can talk about anything.
I know.
Even hard things.
We've gotten really good at that. We have to be.
Yeah.
We have to be good at it.
That's what's going to give us the best future, is being able to have fun, but also really talk about the hard things and make sure that we align.
Yeah. We can do hard things.
Yes.
Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today for our second episode of Fine Lines.
Yep.
We're going to close it out there. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, please email podcast@ thefitsmed.com, and we will do our best to turn those around and answer you in the next episode.
This show is for entertainment and education, not medical advice. If you are interested in treatment, please see your medical provider or book an appointment at the Fits.
All right, perfect. Miss Workaholic,
I know.
are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Born ready.
Sworn ready. Hair looks good. Makeup looks good. Our faces might be frozen, but our bodies aren't.
I know. My face is so frozen. I cannot talk. I feel like when I laugh, I have to go like this.